Oi gente, o vídeo de hoje é uma entrevista que a gente fez com a Maja Göpel, em Berlim. Pra gente foi uma honra enorme ter conhecido a Maja, porque ela é autora de um dos livros que mais inspirou a gente a começar esse canal, que chama The Great Mind Shift, ou A Grande Mudança de Paradigma. Vamos ver o que ela contou pra gente.
Maja Göpel, and I'm currently working as the General Secretary of the German Advisory Council on Global Change. When you think about the role that imagination has for shaping societies or even economies, it starts with great ideas with children, for example. They think, wow, I would like to do this or that. So it has this spark, this moment of feeling inspired, this moment of wanting to find out, this kind of challenge. Why shouldn't that be possible? Or wouldn't that be beautiful? Or we really have to prevent this. So it has a lot to do with your own experience of what is happening right now, that then gets you into the space of going beyond the now, the box that we've created, go out of the box. And then at some points you might understand we don't only want to get ideas out of the box and bring them back into the box, but maybe we want to change the box and want to find out how can we do it differently. But the belief has to stay in your imagination for the longest period of time, that fueling, that energy, that wanting to try, that persistence, that going onwards on trying to get close to your imagination, what you thought should be possible, is what keeps you going. And it can also be a space for unifying people that in the current day would say it's impossible to take step A, B, C or D, but to say yes, we agree on that being an aspiration. And then let's look at maybe even alternative ways, experimenting with how we could get there. So you have a possibility to engaging, even though you have different ideas about the next most important step, on the bigger picture, on the future possible emergence. I think the reason why I started thinking and writing about a great mind shift was because I was trained as a Gramscian, so the idea that the common cultural narratives that we all hold are part of how leadership can establish its legitimacy, even if there is inequality in societies. And for me it was a question then to understand, why do we keep on going in a non-sustainable direction if all the people I speak to say, yes, we don't want poverty, yes, we do want to protect nature, and yes, we really would like to see that there's peace in all the societies. So why don't we just do it? I was really wondering what pushes entire societies in the wrong direction, out of my point of view, wrong direction, obviously. And when I started macroeconomics, for me were just astonishing in the way that they tried to describe why people would move between countries just because wages were 50% lower here or there. And I was thinking, is that really your theory of how we should run societies? I mean, and you'd say there's no costs involved. What about the people having to uproot their entire livelihoods, have to leave their family? I just thought that whole framework was so far away from what I perceived to be human well-being elements that I started questioning it. And the answers from my professor at the time were, oh, I hear a warm heart speaking. And that just stuck with me. And I thought, what's going wrong now? Why is it good to have a cold heart? Why is economics so dominant as a discipline if it means that people have to leave that warm heart at home? And why do we run our societies with that when we say we want people to live well? And for me, that has been really, really important to understand, that there is one dominant paradigm at the time. There are always alternative paradigms as well. And then there's a mix between the paradigm and the thinking and the interests and the ideas of the people that they would like to see, that aligns the two. And that's full-on Gramsci. For me, that was really coming back to my original philosopher that I had studied, to say, yes, obviously, if I have a particular interest, if I have a particular idea, if I want to make a good life for myself, some ideas seem more compelling than others, because they allow for me to see myself in the right story or in the legitimate direction. And then I felt the neoliberal story was just so strong because it gives those people that are privileged under the status quo a good explanation why that is the way it only can be and why they have deserved to be where they are. And that obviously comes with the explanation that everyone's selfish. So if I'm not in the position, someone else would be, so it's good for me to be in this position. And it says the market gives by merit. So I only get what I'm entitled to be giving because I'm contributing to society. And that creates a fantastic feedback loop for those that already are privileged under the circumstances to feel that this is just normal and natural. And that closes a lot of the cognitive dissonance that otherwise you might start feeling in an unequal society. And I thought, this is such a powerful story, obviously. And then when you look at how it treats nature, that it's just one commodity out of many that can be substituted by technology, as long as technology delivers on the same functions for us as humans, that gets you totally out of the next problem that you might find challenging. So this abstraction, this total disconnection from what I perceive to be human and what I perceive to be nature, allowed for a story to continue and a way of running societies to continue that A, privileged some people much more than others, and B, let us put a totally blind eye to what's really happening on the ground. So we have to change the paradigm or we can't get to sustainability. When thinking about why things are the way they are, I always find it very helpful to dig deeper and deeper into the whys. Why are we doing the things that we are doing? And one of the elements obviously is the way that we think about what is the right thing to do. And this brings us straight into our sense making and into our beliefs and into our customs and into our feelings of right and wrong, so the value systems. And as long as we think that humans are the actors and the creators of their societies and their futures, this is for me the highest leverage point where we can get at. And so much of the change, when we think about how do we get towards sustainable development, is looking at the better technologies or the better economic incentives. But if we really want to keep close to us that we are the species on the planet that has the capacity to reflect and the capacity to imagine and the capacity to build what we think is possible, then that for me is the moment where we can also ignite most change. And then you can start thinking about how have we thought about the planet and human well-being and what has been the dominant way of explaining it, and thus a reference frame. And then when you look at it historically, you also can see how the shift in how people have explained the world for themselves has always brought about a shift in how they organize societies and who's getting to say what and to control what also, and which possibilities and technologies will emerge. And that's the whole approach of great transformation that tries to connect the two together. The way that we think about the world, or people back then have thought about the world, and the way that they've reshaped their societies. And this is why I found the work from Polanyi so helpful, to show us that in the 17th and 18th century, emerging out of Britain in particular, there was a whole shift where liberal thinkers were really thinking about what is the human element of shaping society. So they were breaking free from the former story where aristocracy or receiving the way the things are from God through the church were basically shaping what is possible for people to do and how life should be organized in a very feudalistic system. And then the Enlightenment movement and the idea about humans are actors of creating and managing and shaping the things that they want to bring about in their societies has really brought a lot of change to how we organize it. And obviously the emergence of capitalism and the phase of rethinking what the human role on this planet could be have been going in parallel. And now we see maybe it is time to rethink again what the human self-image can be, how we explain the planet, how we explain what human well-being is all about, because we're risking to undermine what we have generated for ourselves. And this means that it is a high time to go into a second enlightenment, basically, and also to go back to the value systems underneath to say what it is that we find really precious and really important to safeguard and not tip out of the window just because our technological systems and economic systems are pushing it that way.